futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza. Em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza. Em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza. Em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of STEM Women Congress that takes place in Portugal. We want to share with you all initiatives and programs, companies and institutions that work to bring more women to the sectors of STEM. It means for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. In the coming hours, we are going to explain what boosts SWC and what we do to contribute to the promotion of the diversity of gender and for a more competitive economy that needs to have all the talent available in the country. Those who are following us online, I'd like to greet you, and you will have access to streaming. And for those who want to share contents, you can use hashtag SWC Lisbon. And now it's time to give the floor to Joana Paz, Vice President of ISEG, Higher Institute for Economy and Management, who is hosting this Congress. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I have the honor of welcoming you on behalf of the presidency of ISEG. It's a pleasure to host this kind of initiatives. The areas of science, technology, engineering, mathematics are areas for the future, and it's up to us. And I know that you are developing efforts in that sense to bring women into these areas. Just 2 words on ISEG. It's a school with a long history. We offer a number of courses in different degrees, BA, Master, PhD in mathematics and economics, and we are a school with particular values, freedom of thought, ethics, and equality. We are a very diversified economy. We have many nationalities that are represented here. Our staff and faculty has parity of gender, and in our courses, half of our students are women. And even in the courses of finance and mathematics, we have a good balance. And in the last term of the presidency, we had the first Dean woman president of ISEG. After a long history, we are here since 1911, and we had the first Dean woman in the last term mandate. So I hope you will enjoy our facilities, and I hope that this conference and the discussions that we are going to launch here will please you, and you will participate fully in them, and I wish you a very pleasant day.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to Eva Deer, CEO of STEM Women Congress.
Friends, welcome to the first edition of the STEM Women Congress in Portugal. Muito obrigada ao Instituto de Economia e Gestão da Universidade de Lisboa for allowing us to hold the event in your auditorium, and to all the sponsors, as Rico, Schneider, Porto de Lisboa, Administração do Portos de Setúbal e Sesimbra, Grupo Brisa, Triton Submarines, Unimagem, and 250 Grados. For those who don't know us yet, the STEM Women Congress is not just another conference. It's the visible work carried out by the STEM Women Association. We have what I like to call a non-sexy job, as sometimes data could be a bit boring, but measuring the impact of initiatives and programs working to have more girls and women in STEM sectors is the key to make a real change. Only if we know how much we impact, we will make the right decisions and assess the needed resources to generate a real change. STEM-related jobs are the fastest growing in the world. Women struggle at every stage of the STEM pipeline. It's not due to lack of desire or capacity, but a lack of support. We exist to bridge the skills gap for the future workforce. Despite gains, poverty still has a woman face, even in the first world. On 2050, the 75% of all the jobs are going to be related to STEM. Really, knowing this, are we going to let the system condemn again the future women in this country to unemployment or to jobs with worse salaries only for thinking that this is not a girl thing? STEM careers have a higher job placement rate than other careers. They have better salaries and have a small wage gap. And then, why don't we explain to girls, their families, their teachers, the society, that these options are reachable to them? And also to professional women who are not STEM yet and now are lost without a good job. We must encourage them to implement a reskilling strategy to become STEM professionals. We have reached this day of the first edition in Portugal with many hours of work and with great joy. You can imagine how excited we are to be here today. I must thank all the driving forces behind this Congress: the speakers, the sponsors, the volunteers, the ambassadors in Portugal and the ambassadors in Spain who are today here, the executive board of the STEM Women Association, and especially to Liliana Dominguez, our general manager in Portugal, and our Portuguese team, Diogo, Margarida, Mafalda, Ana, and Sara. Muito obrigada, because without you, this Congress would not be possible. I'm sure that one day, when someone looks back, they will see that a lot of women, men, institutions, and companies did a great job to make a real change, a real impact in society. And our names will be among the other great people who is working to have a better world. Because as long as we have only one girl left who doesn't know what the letters STEM means, we have a great deal of work to do. We need more women to inspire many more girls, to understand their barriers and help them to overcome them. Please, believe in yourself. As the poet and right activist Maya Angelou said once, each time a woman stands up for herself, without knowing it possibly, without claiming it, she stands up for all women. Happy first edition of a STEM Women Congress in Portugal.
Muito obrigada, Eva, pelas palavras.
Thank you, Eva, for your words and for your inspiration, the way you spoke about STEM Women Congress. We are going to learn about the conclusions of the report of 2022 that collects all the data of the initiatives of STEM in Spain. And Susana Cabos, Director of Satisfaction Quality of Client of Schneider Electric, is the president of the annual report. She will take the floor.
Data, and more data. In fact, we are this. Data. And these are the numbers that you can see that we are data. Welcome to STEM Women Congress in Portugal annual report where data is defining us. Let me to explain you a story that started in 2019 after the first edition of STEM Women Congress. On that edition, we met volunteers, initiatives, companies. We wanted to understand how they were impacting in our villages, in our cities, in our countries, in our world. For that, we decided to measure, to get data, to get evidences that everybody, all these change agents, were working for the same purpose, to get more girls and women in STEM areas. And we didn't do not only once, neither twice. We have already done 3 annual reports. And this year, on the 23rd of November in Barcelona, we are going to present our 4th annual report. But what do we measure on this annual report? I will explain you. First of all, we get some variables that describes more than 100 today initiatives, that they are impacting in a different step of the life of the girls and boys. So if they are impacting, for instance, from 0 to 16 years old, they belong what we call inspiration. If they are impacting today in more than 16 years old, they belong, these initiatives, to careers. And even they can belong to entrepreneurship. What we measure is how these initiatives are impacting today to get more girls and women in STEM areas. How do we measure that? We measure through a survey that we give to these initiatives with more than 10 variables. Some of them, as you can see, quantitative. Some of them, they are qualitative. And this survey is made with psychologists, with data scientists, with experts in diversity and STEM, with people and a team that they are working also in initiatives in the field. What else do? We get data from the country, because finally what we want is to cross all of this data. So we get, for instance, sociodemographic information that is coming from the National Statistics Institute, or we get data, for instance, from Education Ministry. And now it's come your question. Okay, but what else? What do you do with all of this data? So first of all, we make what we call descriptive statistics. We make basic descriptive statistics in order to understand who are these initiatives. So the age they are impacting, how they are financed, which type of activity they have, and which kind of degree, how they are just impacting, in which degree they are impacting even to the full population of Spain. We measure year after year, so that means that we have much more information in terms of the ecosystem, where they are working today. And for sure, when we measure, we get some information like this one. We realize that when we analyze inspiration initiatives, in 2021, there were almost none initiative impacting to girls under 6 years old. That's one of the examples. For sure, we take conclusions, and you will see in the annual report, I'm not going to get you bored today, you will see how many conclusions we get from this data. And as you can understand, after 3 years of annual report, we make patterns also. We take patterns from this data, and we started now to cross information. That means that we take the information that is coming from the initiatives, we take the information that is coming from the country, and we make projections and predictions. So today we are in the 4th annual report. So we have a kind of predictive model, like Eva, our CEO, to say, like that will cross what is the impact from these initiatives in the enrollment of more girls and boys in STEM schools like this one. Our annual report today is really the factual evidence that our hub concept, it's a reality. What does it mean, hub concept? Means that our initiatives, but also our change agents, our companies, can go and see their data. But not only their own data, also the ecosystem data. And this is the most interesting thing. Today we are opening here in Portugal. You can imagine how much we can reach with this annual report when we will get more countries and more countries inside. As Peter Drucker said, what we get measured, we get managed. And here we have data and more data to analyze and also and then launch proper action plans to get more girls and women in STEM areas. Muito obrigada.
Muito obrigada, Susana.
Thank you, Susanna. And now, to tell us about the following steps to be taken in Portugal, I call on stage Liliana Domingues. Welcome, Liliana. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lisbon. Good morning, Portugal. This is an event that was born in Spain, and now we are launching its first edition in Portugal. I would like to welcome you all and to thank you, because a year ago in November I went to Barcelona and I got in touch with what this event was in Barcelona, and it was a wow dimension, and I thought Portugal should host this event and all this project. So I'm here hosting you for the first time in Portugal. And why Portugal? You may say, our hermanos, it's close, so it makes sense, that's for sure. But to export what the event is in Spain, it makes sense that we organize it in Portugal. And then we may ask, in Portugal, we are very well placed in terms of numbers. According to Eurostat statistics, 31% of women in STEM, and we are the fourth country within the EU with the best proportion and rationale of women in the STEM areas. So you may say we have no strong need to increase these numbers because it's quite high. But as Susanna said, we need to look carefully at numbers. And it's curious, I come from the engineering sector, and in technology and engineering, things can change dramatically. If we look at these numbers in a whole, STEM has got technology, engineering, mathematics. We have lots of women in STEM, in medicine and mathematics, but in people like me in engineering, where mathematics is seen as the big bogus, and if we look at the numbers, and I like numbers, I like mathematics, we can see that in technology there has been a decrease, which is strange because technology is the great sector for the future. And challenges, although we have good numbers in terms of statistics, the challenges are quite numerous. And as for other areas, particularly for STEM areas, it is very difficult. And it's more difficult in these areas because they are very demanding in technical terms, in terms of work, and they are over-dominated by men, particularly in technology. So there is a break in leadership, and sometimes we cannot move beyond, because women have family issues and other things, but it's also a stereotyped universe, particularly in terms of building technologies. Just to show you, or to give you a general background, an overview of what happens in very conservative areas in Portugal. So I think it's important to give voice to Portuguese women in the STEM areas. But don't we have many areas? I hear about initiatives in this area or the other. Why don't we contribute? And the answer: we don't want to be just another one. Our spirit is a gregarious one. It's a conciliation one. We have many initiatives that are spread out. We are working on silos, in separation. And what STEM brings in, because it has a history of 4 or 5 years of experience in Spain and has a global spirit, and I hope that we can reconcile all these initiatives and to make a bridge with all these initiatives, to make partnerships, to launch activities and joint initiatives. And as Susanna explained in the report, we are still very small, but in a year, I hope that this group of people will be completely full. We have different elements already. I'm there, but we have a technical board, and Claudia, who will join us soon, but they will be here. They are part of our board, and we have the ambassadors. Claudia is there, sorry. And these are the boosters of this project. And apart from these women, we can see much more. And next year, we will have much more women joining in. And this will not be exhausted in a congress, in one initiative. It's a project of medium, long term. And the difference is made by our report. It takes time. We need to take 1 year to monitor the initiatives, to analyze them, to see what's going on, to do the same work that has been carried out in Spain, or even better, without rivalry, and then culminate in the next conference in May, but maybe it will be next October due to the report, in a bigger space, in a bigger auditorium. If you want to reach out to us, I leave you here our contact details. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Liliana.
Thank you, Liliana. And to tell us about the STEM and the SWC Association, and Mark STEM. Mar, please.
Speaking Portuguese like Liliana, it's impossible this year. Next year will be different. And I will try to do it in English, in my English, Spanish English, but I have my paper here to follow the presentation. Well, Thank you for your presentation. And as she told, I'm the Global President of STEAM Women Association. We are here to represent the open door for the STEAM Women Association to the international way. And we are very happy to share with you. I also want to point out that I'm marketing manager of Rico. Rico is my company. It's a technological company, and in Portugal is represented by 3 companies: Rico, Total Store, and PAMAF. And here we have some representation. Oh, thank you. Some representation that also will participate in the STEAM Women Congress in the scenario, but also as ambassadors of our organization. So let me check if it works. Okay, perfect. Well, as I told, they represent the presentation of the STEAM Women Association in international level. Thank you, Lisboa. Thank you, the Society of Portugal, to let us know to introduce this association through Portugal. We started 5 years ago, connecting people, especially women, who were focus on the same goal. And the goal was that. The goal was increase the equal opportunities of gender in the STEAM woman environment. That means science, technology, engineering, and maths. When we started in 2019 in Barcelona. With Eva, we started to speak one day. I don't know if you have explained before about what we wanted to make in this world, what we wanted to make for our girls, for our daughters, and what are necessary to do in this world. With the first STEAM Women Congress in Barcelona, we launched the challenge to the society in terms of why are the STEM vocations? What are they important? But one thing that we ask, me from the technological company and she from her visibility in her company, was why we cannot find girls in the technology. We were speaking about how to change this, how we have to challenge the society, no? And we decided that we should encourage and we should take in the opportunity to attract the digital talent to the female, because we found that there were not females in this environment. We decided to close the gap in the STEM environment, and it was what we decided to do. We decided to do connecting, creating, and growing with other women. The pandemic stopped a lot of activities, but the pandemic didn't stop to us. As you can see in these images, we were with the mask starting to prepare the second event of the STEAM Women Congress in Barcelona. We decided that we need to connect women, we need to identify the initiatives that were in the market that can help us to achieve our goal, that was to make this equality in the STEAM woman environment. And we decided that together we could do it. And started with this small team. We completed with the different positions that we needed in order to define what is the STEM Women Association. The STEM Women Association that is based in 4 pillars. One is we measure. It's something that makes us different. We measure. We decided to create what we call the annual report. In 2020, the second year of STEAM Woman, we decided to create this platform to identify how the initiatives that were in the market were impacting to the girls and the women that was in this career. Susanna will introduce later. You have already done? Bueno, already done. and it was very important for us to do it in Spain. And next year, we wanted to do it in Portugal, because it's the way that we consider that we can view what is happening in the market, what is happening in the society, and how we are helping to the society to achieve our goal. Second is we connect. In the 2020, we thought, well, what is our main goal? We wanted to identify the initiatives, but we wanted to identify also the volunteers, we wanted to identify the companies, we wanted to identify the agents of the change that are in the market. And we considered that we wanted to be the hub that connect all of them. And this was the second pillar that we decided, the second main objective that we decided. We created a website where you can find a directory where you can find all the professionals, all the volunteers, all the initiatives that will be also identified in Portugal, and we have already done in Spain. Next was visibility. Visibility is very important, especially in women, because usually we try to make one step, ¿cómo se dice? Back, instead of one step in front. So it's very important for us give visibility, help to the women to give visibility of their job, because we are not here by, we are here. We are here because we work to be here. We have a lot of challenge that we have to achieve, and we are here because we have achieved it. So it's something that is very clear in our message, that is, we want to give visibility. We want to give visibility, and we started identifying good practices of companies in education, also in entrepreneurs, because it's another way to develop the STEAM woman career. And we decided to recognize, to make a reward of the people that do it, not only for giving visibility to them, also for share and to give ideas to another companies, to another schools, to another women, in order to identify how were the best practices. And finally, with all of them, our fourth strategic objective is to fit the gap. We want to fit the gap. And in 2022, in Barcelona, we established four main objectives. No, sorry, three. Four objectives here, three main objectives. First was one school, one initiative. That means we wanted that all the schools have, as a minimum, one initiative to share with the girls how the technology can give value to the society, to approach them to the technology. The other was one company, one initiative. In my company, Enrico, we started with nothing. We identify the situation, we take the challenge of the STEAM Women Congress, and we decided to participate in one of the initiatives that were in the market. That was an initiative focused on the girls from 8 to 18 years old, the Technovation girls, that I think in Portugal is not high developed, but should be, because it's a fantastic initiative. But after that, we decided to create our own initiative. And it's something that we think that all the companies, especially in the technological environment, wanted to do and have to do. Is why we target one company, one initiative. And finally, we decided that this information that we are taking from from the initiatives, mapping with the society, tracking the evolution of the impact of them in the society, we wanted to make it in a way that make easy to measure this impact. And the third objective is to create a platform that allows us and allows the initiatives to measure what they are doing, because the majority of initiatives are managed by volunteers. And volunteers are people like us, Susana, me, a lot of the people that are here. We have our job. I am marketing manager in Rico, but we are also dedicate sometimes to achieve a goal that in our case is the equality of a gender in the STEAM woman environment. So we don't have too much time, but it's very important to do it. So we wanted to make it easy for them, and we consider that the initiatives are the activities, the organizations that can move the society, starting for the very very low level of girls. We are speaking sometimes from 3 years old till where we want to finish our careers. And it's very important to identify, and especially now in Portugal that we start now, to identify what initiatives are impacting in each part of this journey that we have drawn in the STEAM Women Association. So 4 objectives: measure, connect, give visibility, 4, fit the gap. And 3 main objectives: 1 initiative, 1 school, 1 company, 1 initiative, and also automatization of the platform to measure the impact of the initiatives in the society. It's very important that make it clear, because we are going to do in Portugal with this initial event what we did in Spain 2 years ago, when we started to identify which people can help us in order to cover all the information of the society in Spain, and now will be in Portugal, from the different communities. And as you can see in these slides, we have completely covered the Spanish territory with ambassadors. That is a figure that we have identified also in Portugal, that are working in the market, that are living with the girls, with the people that are in their area, and identify what are the needs, what are the initiatives, and connect with us, with the hub that I told before. With the hub, we connect the initiatives, people, specialists, and also the companies, and also the agents of the change. That is very important, because if not, we cannot change the society. This is the representation of Spain, and our idea is to have same representation in Portugal in terms of people. Now we will start with 6 ambassadors, as Liliana showed before, and we are working very close with them, and we wanted to follow this way with them. So this is how we want to work, because we consider and we really believe that together we will achieve further, but also faster. So it's very important. We want to replicate the Me Too movement in the STEAM environment. We want to give continuation to the Me Too environment movement. But we want also to close and to change the tendency. The tendency breaking the bias, the stereotypes that are in all the societies. And we want to identify what are mainly here, and how to fit with them, and how to fight with them in order to achieve our objective. And overall, we are working in the environment of the ODS, the Objectives of Development Sustainability of United Nations, that are reflecting what is our way and are giving us the way, the path to achieve our goal. So together we will go, together we will achieve it, and together we will achieve it faster. And this is our main objective. And we are achieving our objective. I show you some information from Spain, and we want to show you and to share with you also some information in terms of how we measure and how we can identify what we are different, what make us different as an organization. And these are the figures that make us different. We have more than 200 STEAM initiatives identified in Spain. We are a community of 4,000 people. We have 20,000 visits in our website, more than 1,100 event visualizations. All the events that we make are capable to be visualized, and we have some people that are moving these events. More than 100 speakers, more than 50 presentations, more visualizations in YouTube, followers in LinkedIn. So these are the data that make STEAM Women Association different. And we wanted to reflect and to increase this data with the Portugal information and open our way around the world. Because we want to be around the world. We don't want to be only in Spain, in Europe, in Portugal. We want to be around the world. And in the previous STEAM Women Congress, we started to contact and to put in the scenario some people from the different continents, from Europe, but also from America, from Asia, from Africa. And it's important for us because the needs of the women in the different countries, but especially in the different continents, are completely different. And we want to help them to achieve the same objective like us. Done? Five continents is our objective.
Chegar a estes continentes é o nosso objetivo. Queremos agora, de facto, agradecer-vos por nos terem seguido nesta abertura à internacionalização. O ano passado a Liliana esteve presente no Congresso de Barcelona e na verdade ela gostou e por isso quis, portanto, trazer esta ideia para Portugal, o que nos agradou, e é muito interessante constatar que o nível de educação que se encontra em Portugal, não só no setor da educação, mas também ao nível da invenção, e se nós compararmos com a Espanha e com a Europa, em Portugal nós temos uma mulher por cada 4 homens que é investigadora, mas em Espanha nós temos 1 para 5, ao passo que na Europa temos, portanto, 1 para 10. Ou seja, estão muito bem posicionados em termos de universidades e carreiras STEM. Vejo que estão, de facto, têm uma posição fantástica comparativamente com a Espanha e com a média europeia. Todos nós precisamos de crescer, sem dúvida. Mas há aqui um outro aspecto importante que é o da maternidade, porque a vossa taxa de natalidade começou a crescer desde o ano passado, o que não é o que se passa em Espanha, e nós precisamos de saber, aliás, temos estado a verificar que nós temos de encorajar as jovens a partir dos 3 anos, mostrar-lhes a tecnologia e o valor que aporta à comunidade e fazer com que as jovens possam aproximar-se da tecnologia. Mas, tendo em vista a taxa de natalidade, que é de facto muito pequena e tem estado a reduzir-se em Portugal, então nós temos de focalizar-nos neste reskilling das mulheres que estão nas empresas, porque na verdade nós temos de elaborar melhor os nossos perfis relativamente efetivamente, de forma a incorporar mais tecnologia, mas em Portugal temos a oportunidade de trabalhar em ambos os níveis com o mesmo, e porquê? Porque estamos, portanto, a ver a nossa taxa de natalidade a crescer e, portanto, esta é a melhor forma de abrir a forma à internacionalização. Muito obrigada. Thank you very much, Moa, for this fantastic presentation. And because this is the first Congress, it is important for us to share with you who will be the ambassadors in Portugal. And this is a merely symbolic event. So the Spanish ambassadors will deliver the STEM Congress pin to the Portuguese ambassadors who could make here. So let me call now the ambassadors in Spain. So we have, for instance, Ciliana Carreño. She is VP Technology and Head of STEM Madrid. Susana Cabos, who has been with us, had already been with here this morning. Ma Porras, who's come here with us, and Liliana Domingos, the General Director of the STEM Women Congress in Portugal. Let us now ask the ambassadors in Portugal to join us. Filipa de Souza, the second award winner to receive an award from the European Institute of Patents. Then Sonia Rodrigues, the Key Account Management in PAMAF Recall Company. Mariana Travernari, who is Research and Strategy at Globant. Sabrina Duarte, the Key Account Manager at PAMAF Recall, and Claudia Cavagas and Liliana Domingues, who are one being a professor at the University in Coimbra and the General Director of STEM Women Congress in Portugal. So this is a merely symbolic event where the pin will be awarded to the members of STEM. So now we will have a family photo so that later on we can recall this important date. Thank you very much to all of you. Yet another picture. We don't want anyone to be left behind. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we will now move for a small break, and we'll be back at 11:30, and we will resume our streaming by then. Thank you very much.
O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. Inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas e o que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas e o que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas e o que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa, abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. O futuro é inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu e líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa abre caminho. sabor inspirador, harmonioso, limpo, conectado, ousado. Este é o futuro que estamos a construir no Grupo Brisa. Estamos a abrir novos caminhos com o poder da nossa força, dedicação, espírito de equipa, capacidade de estratégia e inovação. Ambicionamos fazê-lo no mundo, acrescentando valor aos mais exigentes mercados internacionais, posicionando o Grupo Brisa como um operador europeu líder de mobilidade sustentável. Para que esta seja uma realidade, somos todos chamados a agir. Estamos a rejuvenescer e a internacionalizar as nossas equipas, respeitando a diversidade, a igualdade e a inclusão. Reconhecemos que a verdadeira transformação começa em nós. É por isso que estamos a conectar a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza para sermos uma organização 100% sustentável. Juntos, trabalhamos em novas soluções para os desafios do futuro. Conquistando concessões em lugares internacionais estratégicos, acelerando a mobilidade inteligente em cidade, impulsionando a exportação de tecnologia made in Portugal, levando o negócio da inspeção mais longe, proporcionando conforto e automação para que cada viagem seja uma experiência excepcional. Em total segurança, qualquer que seja o lugar. Cada viagem é uma sinfonia de emoções. As pessoas movem-se e vão continuar a andar. Em carros voadores, em autoestradas elétricas, no que o futuro nos trouxer. E o Grupo Brisa vai continuar o seu propósito de transformar a qualidade de vida das comunidades, ligando as pessoas através de uma mobilidade simples, segura e sustentável. Juntos, abrimos caminho para o futuro, suportado na nossa experiência, saber acumulado e capacidade de adaptação. Com a força das pessoas e o poder da natureza, em Portugal e no mundo. Grupo Brisa, abre caminho.
Sejam.
So once more welcome. Let us now start to our talks. And believe me, when I tell you that each of the women who is going to come on stage is really inspiring. The first one is Ines, and she comes from Schneider Electrica. She is the country manager. Welcome, Ines. I'm Inês Rodrigues, I'm 45 years of age and two fantastic daughters, Leonor, 14, and Joanna, with 9. So, my daughters will soon become independent women in a society where I hope they can be given the opportunities to become what they want to be. As the colleague says, I am a country business developer at Schneider Electrica. I'm here to share with you my personal professional journey and to share with you the experience of STEM women in today's world. I think there is no doubt as what are these STEM women, since we cover areas such as mathematics, technology, engineering. So apart from being engineer myself, I work at a technological company, and so I am a STEM woman. But this is not about my dreams as a child, because back then I dreamt of becoming a doctor. So why was that? Because since a little girl, we are given this idea that we should be caregivers. This is a picture of myself as a child, and we also here say that behind a man there is also a brilliant woman, but in fact, if we have this caregiver profile, this is not necessarily a negative thing, nor should it be something that to fight against. But apart from these traditional areas such as medicine and pharmacy, technology and engineering are also essential in the well-being. And let me give you an example of Schneider, where through technology and engineering, we are able to automate intensive care unit and thus contribute for a significant recovery rate of patients. And recently, during COVID, we had 10 mathematic models which could allow us to understand what was the path of the journey. And we also seen that a man and a woman worked in the field of the RNA messenger that allowed us to progress during the pandemic. So there is a census by Marion Wren Elderman who says that you cannot be what you cannot see. And this means that if you can't imagine yourself doing something, then you won't be there. And this ends up reflecting us on the limitations that are set upon us by the society. And I think you will be reviewing a lot of what Liliana said, because we do lack female role models. And this, for instance, in the field of math, we will think of a boy who lives with his head plunged in books, and in the field of technology you see the boy programmer connected with his computers with minor social interaction. In the field of engineering, we tend to think on big engineers, big infrastructures, and man wants more behind these big infrastructures. But where we find more women is in the field of science, but not so much as we wanted. And coming back to my personal history, this is a time back in my history. I went to engineering because I couldn't find any other possibilities. It was by mere chance, but as soon as I get into the course, I understand that engineering, more than chemistry, really was something that I wanted to do, because it helped me solve problems, which is something that I like. And once when I reached the end of the course, then I tried to find my place in the job market, and as a girl, what I realized was that the marketplace has to do with environment, quality, auditing. I have nothing against this, but my graduation was chemistry, so this is where I wanted to work, in the industry. So I ended up starting my career in another country, and since I had a good command of English, and the fact that I had an Erasmus, then it was easy for me to take this decision. And as I arrived in England, I realized that my work was acknowledged not only as a foreign student but also as a woman. And this came on a daily basis in the projects that I was given, and this ended up allowing me to grow in my professional career. And this was during my 20s, and had no child, no financial responsibilities, but after reaching the age of 30, then I decided to come to Portugal, have a family. And here is where things get a bit more complicated, because in one hand you have family, you want to care for your family, and from a professional point of view, this is very important for women's career, because this is where we have to carry out an extra type of training so we can gain more skills or even change career. And so we see that we have to juggle a bit. And I ended up making my own decision. I made a specialty in the field of management. And back then my children were very small, and at home my support would be my husband and parents. But then I realized that the government, thanks to its policies for family support, and the companies as well, this is where we should count on more support. This year in RICO, we have a policy which allows for more flexibility to its workers. For instance, we guarantee 20 weeks of parental leave, both for men and women, and we guarantee the payment of a full salary during these weeks. And on the other hand, we have this morning leave. And why? This is important in order to reach balance between family and professional life. And this is very important for the well-being of our collaborators at RICO. So why developing all this effort? It's been said before that organizations where diversity is key, normally they come up with best results. Recently, Credit Suisse showed that those boards with women had better results than others. We have more a theory, a biological theory, based on the difference between men and women, because on the other hand, we see that men tend to be more impulsive as a result of their high levels of testosterone, while women tend to be more multitasked, and then they end up making better decisions. But in this specific case, it is important to have women reaching the higher positions in companies, such as directors. Because it's easy for you to get in a company, but then to make your career in the field of STEM, then this may not be so difficult. We still see men holding predominant positions than women. And we see that for women it is not easy for them to be considered for more relevant senior positions, better paid. And so we have not only to guarantee the entrance of women in the STEM world, but once there, they should be able to develop their career, become active members as any colleague. And I think it is clear now that the benefit of having women in the STEM world is beneficial not only for the companies but also for the world, just so we can put aside more traditional ideas, and also to make sure that the goals who are coming here, and the forthcoming women generation will have the possibility of following their dreams. And so through initiatives like this, we may allow for more and better opportunities. And this is yet another slide with a sentence of this women. If you don't like the world as it is, then you must change it, but give one step at a time, as Marian would say. Thank you very much. I hope that my contribution was relevant to you. Thank you very much, Inês, for your extraordinary example. Now, instead of having Sara Falcão, now we'll have, Sara Falcão from ISEC. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you very much, Eva Diaz, Liliana Domingues, all the organizers for the invitation. I'm delighted to join this gathering of women and a few men interested in discussing the topic of women in STEM. And on top of that, I'm truly happy because all this is happening at ISEG, that is in my case at home. In my talk, I will be looking at not only women in STEAM, but to the overall picture in which women and men are involved as key actors in the labor market, and to both processes and challenges. As in my view, these elements are closely intertwined with the gaps and challenges that we find in the STEAM domain. First, I need to ask for your kind understanding, but my research has been focused on the European Union context, so my data relates to that landscape. So, regarding labor market participation, we can see, let me just actually check if it's more or less okay. We can see that apart from a few countries at the bottom of this figure, we have employment rates for women within the EU above 60%. And in almost half of the countries is now around 70 or even above, Portugal included. So this figure, this graph, is consistent with the research that has shown how consolidated has been women's participation in employment, in the labor market. And this is also associated with the impressive investment women have made in their qualifications, in their human capital in general. However, so this is the first mind the gap. When we take into account the employment rate for men, the difference in relation to employment rates for women is still relatively high in some countries, and in the EU is about 10 percentage points. So still a long way to go to narrow, to eliminate this gap. Moreover, we can also see that countries in which the employment rate is relatively high for women also have high proportions of women involved in part-time work. And as you can see, part-time work is a female-dominated form of employment with all the traps involved in it. It's not the topic today, maybe later on. Then, this is one of the most interesting data, I would say. That is, in 21 out of 27 countries, at a macro level in general, we can see that women tend to interrupt their careers after childbirth and during the highly demanding period after that. So the employment rate declines among women who are mothers, who have children, small children, so aged under 6. In only 6 countries, the employment rate for women who are mothers of small children is higher than in relation to those who are childless. Portugal, again, included. So Portugal is a very interesting case study, as you can see, but it's not the topic today. So what we have at the moment is a well-established dual earner model in the European Union. So women and men in the labor market, but still, despite all the progresses in terms of gender roles, men are still seen as the main breadwinners and women as the primary carers. So we are still far from the universal model of both men and women as breadwinners and as carers. And actually, the research undertaken by the latest Nobel laureate in economics, Claudia Goldin, has just shown that the employment gap between mothers and fathers as the key explanation for the wider gender pay gap between these two groups. Career interruptions, part-time work, all these factors account for the gender pay gap within the EU, as well as the underrepresentation of women in senior management leadership positions and job segregation. So women are still overrepresented in lower paid industrial sectors and occupations. So apparently, we would say that bring women to the STEAM domain would contribute to push down the gender pay gap. However, it does not magically disappear. We know, and it's very well documented, that the gender pay gap is even higher in male-dominated sectors, the ICT, for instance, included. STEAM is like a rainbow. And with this metaphor, the implication is that STEAM is a catalog that entails a variety of scientific and professional fields, and actually the situation of women varies across those sectors, industrial sectors and scientific domains. So we have actually women outnumbering men in many scientific fields and even in engineering, for instance. So that's what we need to take into account. And as we all know, the most critical situation now is in relation to the ICT sector in particular in terms of women's representation. So looking at the proportion of women in total graduates, it's about 21% in the EU. So still a long way to go again. And the situation is even more critical when we take into account the ICT specialists. So the overall average within the EU is around 19%. How can we overcome this? Well, I'm being very ambitious. So how can we fix the pipeline? And my point is that it's only possible to do that by implementing, trying to bring together different actors, key actors, in a well-articulated endeavor. So I would like to, focus on that, the role of the state and public policies, of employers, of the business sector, social partners, NGOs, and so on and so forth. So first, the role of public policies in education are absolutely fundamental in tackling the gender pay gap by embedding a gender equality perspective in the curricula from early childhood to universities. I used to say that gender equality is a project of freedom. It's about liberate girls and boys, women and men from restrictive gender norms and gender stereotypes. So by doing that, we will have more men interested in being primary teachers and work in childcare facilities, for instance, and women aiming to be astronauts, leading a global ICT company or run a whole nation, for instance. Family policies, they were already mentioned. They are absolutely vital again in ensuring the equal participation of men and women in paid work and in family and care responsibilities as well. And one way that we have at our disposal to accelerate that is by providing by law equal rights to men and women in terms of maternity and paternity rights, parental rights, in addition, of course, to affordable and high-quality care facilities. The role of proactive labor policies, there is scope for improvement. We need that in vocational training, proactive measures, intended to counter occupational segregation. Of course, the social partners also have an important role to play in this domain. And the employers, they are an important player in terms of, fixing the leaky pipeline. The need to adopt a gender equality strategy. That is not just window dressing, just written into company policy, but is translated into daily practices. The willingness to revise the organizational culture and to dismantle the conditions that froze ambitions, expectations, aspirations of so many highly qualified and committed women, the frozen rabbit syndrome that occurs when they face hostile organizational cultures. So again, well documented. It happens quite often in male-dominated sectors. So this willingness to revise the organizational cultures and make them more inclusive for men and women will, of course, pay off and is absolutely fundamental as well. I think now I have to accelerate a little bit. So, of course, we all know the role of media and advertising and their social responsibility in tackling gender stereotypes as well. And all of us, we need to intensify our partnerships and collaborations, yes, and make, try to elaborate and implement collaborative projects, make the gaps visible, and engage wider publics in discussing the gaps and finding and co-creating the right solutions to overcome the challenges that we still have. Almost the final word to women, to those women who are in powerful positions, in the right positions, to exercise substantive representation. It means to give the hand up to other women. Don't forget that. I tried not to do it as well. Sorry about this. And my last slide. Well, this note was released 2 or 3 years ago by the World Economic Forum. And I must admit that I have shown this slide a few times, but the message underlying it is so powerful. So for over 150 years, scientists have considered that birdsong was a male attribute. So finally, research has shown that both male and female birds sing. And that fantastic discovery is due to female researchers who have entered in this scientific domain. So it just shows us how important it is to have both men and women in all domains and walks of life with their views and insights and tacit knowledge and skills. And that is the basis for more credible and objective scientific outputs, is the basis for more qualified and responsive policy decisions, to boost creativity and knowledge in the business sector, and so on and so forth. I keep my optimism because as a scientist, I'm fully aware of the power of evidence. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Sara, pelo seu entusiasmo esta manhã.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your enthusiasm with us this morning. You can share images through the hashtag HWC Lisbon. And now let's hear Felipe de Souza. She was a nominee for the Young Inventors. Hello.
Okay. So I'll explain to you in a bit what all of this is and what my little assistant does. Sorry. Okay, so hello, welcome. Thank you for this opportunity to be here to talk to you a little about inclusive digital education. So right now the change of technology is changing at a fast pace, we know that, and we adapt and adopt technology every day. We are seeing AI changing things, but what about the future? How are we going to face this? And how are children going to face this? So are we preparing children for what is coming? Do we even know what is coming? And how can we prepare the children if we don't even know what is coming? So before I continue, a little bit about me. So I have a bachelor and a master's in computer engineering. And right now I'm doing a PhD focused on accessibility for children with visual impairments. I've also taught children from ages 6 to 16, technologies and programming a little bit for preparing them for this digital education. So education prepares us for the future and helps us understand the world that we are living in. And nowadays, particularly in Portugal, because that's the case that I know, children are included in an inclusive model of education. So classrooms are shared with children of different abilities. So regardless of their abilities, children share a classroom, they share the tools, and this doesn't mean that they are included in this education. This doesn't mean that they are having the same opportunities as their peers. Because children are included when they feel supported, when they feel they can participate, they can be autonomous, that they are learning. And so how does this, why aren't they feeling included? So in the case of Portugal, teachers are reporting that they don't feel supported to use the tools, to use new tools or to use inclusive tools, because no one teaches them how to use these tools. Maybe they are too hard to understand, maybe they have a steep learning curve, and so teachers don't feel supported to teach with those tools, with those inclusive tools. So they have to adapt their activities in the classroom, or they have to exclude the children of some activities. And when, sorry, I should have, okay. So when looking at these numbers, it's a bit sad to think that if we don't change the norm, children with visual impairments won't have the same opportunities as their peers. And yeah, so especially in digital education, which is so relevant right now when we are talking about it today. It's already present in school curriculums, it's already present in the Portuguese curriculum, and computational thinking training, we know that fosters a lot of skill development, creativity, cognitive development, social development even, And this type of activity, it's really important for children right now. And they learn through programming languages. Maybe you've heard of Scratch. Scratch, or Blockly, is a visual and virtual programming language that transforms all of these abstract concepts and all of these difficult things to understand in more easy action blocks that children can manipulate and use to create games or create images or videos. But all of this is highly visual, right? All of this is happening on a screen, on a virtual screen, on an iPad, on a computer. So children with visual impairments don't really have full access to this. They don't have the same opportunities as their sighted peers. So how can they access all of these opportunities? So with all of this in mind, we developed this little project called BATS, so Block-Based Accessible Tangible System. So it's a fully tangible system that children can use to start programming, start learning these basic concepts, and start understanding the world they live in, and even become the next engineers, the next inventors. So it's really easy to use, I think, and I'm going to show you what children think as well. It's fully tangible. So the blocks have 3D elements. They have different cues. They have different colors. So children have many aspects to identify these blocks. And then they start with the basic concepts to program, and it translates in the behavior of the robot. So children can listen to the robot, if they can see light, they can see the lights of the robot, and even the movement, they can follow it. But I'll show you a little video, I think. Yeah. Okay, so there's an app, but the app is really, really simple, so children don't really have to interact with it. And everything becomes fully tangible. So the app only reads the blocks. I don't want him to fall off the table, but I'm going to try to do something easy. So for example, I want him to go forwards. He's not... Okay. So it says what it's going to do. So they have different blocks that they can use. They have to go forwards, go backwards, and even a little bit of a not so easy concept to understand, that it's the repetition block. And those who use programming and learn programming know that sometimes the loops and the whiles and everything may be a bit difficult to understand at first. But this is the first step. So I'm going to try to do just like 2 forwards. Okay, maybe forward and speak. Because he's really cute when he speaks. Maybe you can't listen. But yeah, so this is it. It seems really simple, but it gives children the opportunity to start understanding these concepts, have an easier introduction to all of these concepts that can seem so intense. And if they are listening to this, so for example, in virtual languages, all the access that children with visual impairments have is to listen, it can be a bit difficult to understand, and even cognitively is heavier. So we are really focused on bettering this as well. And we are really happy that this aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, because it focuses on ensuring that all children have an inclusive environment to learn. It's equitable in terms of opportunities for their future, and computer literacy in general gives us resources, gives us information, and it gives us opportunities socially, economically, and even to build on this for our future. So we developed this, and we've been talking to families, asking them for their feedback, and even in schools, we've used this little robot and the blocks, and we've had great feedback. And we know this is not the end, we know this is the beginning. But children really like the robot because the robot itself only has one eye, and it talks, the little expressions that it does, the little, everything that, the movements and the lights, they really like the robot. And the parents highlighted that it was really important to have the different aspects of the blocks for children to choose what they feel most comfortable with while identifying the blocks, while familiarizing themselves with this language. So all of these different cues, all of these multimodalities that they are presented with, parents and children really like them in general. And I'm saying children, but especially children with visual impairments. But parents also told us that they want this to evolve. They want this to be more present in their kids' lives. So they don't want this to be just for them to, they want every aspect of their children's life to be inclusive. They want their children to feel that they are included in culture, in, well, daily city mobility, right? So children can be a little more independent and grow a little more independent. So today I'm only talking about digital literacy, but I think we should think about all of these other aspects. And so I'll just leave you with this one question, that on our day-to-day lives and with our work, everything, where can we create inclusion? So thank you for your time.
Muito obrigada, Filipa. Foi gosto.
Thank you, Felipe. It was a pleasure listening to you. We are going to move on to the next speaker, Marta Creus, and Service Manager in Triton Submarines. Marta just arrived from the US, so welcome, Marta.
I'm going to talk about Triton submarines, but first let me introduce you a short submarine story. Sorry. The first sub that was ever built was in 1958, and it was called the 1858, and it was called the Ictineu 1. It was a sub operated without an engine, and it could reach shallow waters. 70 years later, we had the bathysphere with 22 millimeters of thickness. This bathysphere could have communications with the surface through a cable. Then, 17 years later, we had the improved bathysphere. The main difference was the thickness of the wall. This one, the improved one, had little more thickness of the first bathysphere. Then we had the Trieste. The Trieste marked a new beginning because it was the first sub in the whole history to reach the deepest point. By that time was 10,912 meters. Then we got Jacques Cousteau with the first sub that operated in the Antarctica, and it was the first sub that was seen in documentaries as well. In 1964, we got the Trieste number 2, and it was special because it was the first sub that had installed a manipulator arm in order to work underwater. Then we have my favorite one, the Pisces. Pisces was the protagonist of one of the most important rescues in the submarine story. This sub was stuck in the bottom at 480 meters, and it only had 72 hours of oxygen capacity. But the reality was that they spent 84 hours and 30 minutes at the bottom. When they got rescued, only 12 minutes of oxygen were left. Since this incident happened, all the submarines that have been built have been based on this, especially when designing the life support systems. All of our subs, all the Triton subs, can guarantee 96 hours of survival time. Then, about 1987, we got the Mir models. The Mir models were models that operated at 6,000 meters of depth, and they used to conduct expeditions to the Titanic. Until then, nowadays, we have this kind of submersibles. You can see that the main structure is different as the ones that I mentioned before, and the main characteristic is the acrylic sphere. This acrylic sphere provides us with almost 360 degrees of visibility. Our first model was the 1K2 that can reach 200 meters and can allocate one passenger and one pilot. Now that I have introduced you the company, let me show you a short video because I want you to understand what Triton Submarines is.
Into a great barrier reef again. I mean, I was in a very, very remarkable
We need to get hundreds of these to get on board.
Officially trumps anything I've done in my entire life, personal and professional.
So 15 years ago, Triton Submarines opened its first office in Florida, and in 2017, we opened our first, second office, but our first Spanish office in Spain, where I have the pleasure to work as a service manager and a naval engineer. The last sub that we built was the 7K3, and it's a very special and unique sub because she has the deepest sphere ever built in the whole history. This sphere has a thickness of 322 millimeters, and this sub can reach almost 2,300 meters of depth. It's a scientific sub intended for ocean exploration. Triton, throughout its history, has developed and conducted a lot of expeditions all over the world in every ocean. One of our remarkable expeditions was the Titanic one. The most exciting thing was to see how the Titanic is being consumed by the ocean. The ocean is bringing the ship to her elemental form, but at the same time, the Titanic is a sanctuary for many marine species. Triton conducts expeditions, archaeological expeditions. We also conduct missions, recovery missions for plane crashes, etc. We can bring the expert to the bottom to see with their own eyes the remains on first hand. Triton was the first company to record the footage of the giant squid, and we also conduct the second dive to the Antarctica after Cousteau. This marked a turning point in our history of ocean exploration and research. The ocean floor has been inhospitable, inaccessible, and almost mythological. Now, people can go down and see with their own eyes the ocean, and they can access it. Another important expedition was the one that we did in the Antarctica. Dives were made in extreme conditions, but what we found quite literally was an ocean floor gleaming with life. There was the white snow, the marine snow, which is organic material descending from the top. And in that point of the ocean in the Antarctica was thicker than anywhere else. We also discovered that it's the main primary food source for many species. In fact, experts extracted a rock and they found more than a dozen of different marine species. In such extreme conditions, it is challenging for the animals to survive, which is why the most dominant predators were the invertebrates, just like 350 million years ago. So these expeditions were akin to observing the ocean from the past. Another significant and remarkable expedition was the one that involved the research of coral reefs. Previously, unstudied reefs were discovered, but we could verify the profound impact of the ocean warming and the acidification of the oceans on these species. In fact, there was only one group of coral reefs that was capable to withstand these conditions, the ocean warming, the acidification of the ocean, of the water, everything. So this emphasized the need to protect not only the coral reefs, but also all oceanic life. And now, we arrive at the Triton's most important sub, the one that reached the deepest point on the Earth, surpassing all world records. This sub reached a depth of 10,928 meters, and it is certified to reach any depth. Now, we are not only exploring the bottom of the ocean, we are reaching the deepest point on our planet. That, a few years ago, was unbelievable. So, the more we conduct, the more dives we conduct, the more we explore, we will understand better our ocean. This submersible was groundbreaking. It's the first time of the whole history that we have a vehicle that enables us to reach any depth of our planet, of our ocean. So, I can assure you that we are only in the beginning of an era, plenty of discoveries. The second most important challenge of this expedition was to map the trenches of the 5 oceans to find the deepest point. That led us to wealth a geographical discoveries such mountains, valleys, etc. But it's astonishing how we have marked and named all or most of all these geographical landmarks on Mars, and on our own planet, with 2/3 of its surface covered in water, much remains unknown. During all these dives, in these extreme conditions, a lot of species were discovered. So with the human eyes, we witnessed roles, behaviors, and interactions of organisms in ecosystems found at almost 11 kilometers beneath the surface of the water. In these conditions, there's immense pressure, the sunlight doesn't penetrate. However, the ocean revealed an ecosystem teeming with life. At those depths, photosynthesis doesn't occur. So all these discoveries challenged our long-standing perception on how life originates. So the evolution of this technology makes a new beginning. Our main mission is to bring the ocean closer to the public, regardless who is on board, whether billionaires on yachts or scientists with research equipment. We want, in a near future, to make those journeys and investigations more accessible to everyone and much easier. We don't have to forget that the ocean is essential for human life. It covers the 70% of the Earth's surface, and it's the environment that supports the most life. The ocean provides food, provides resources, serves as transportation for goods and people, and it also supplies medicines. But humans, unfortunately, we are polluting it. Our activities contribute to the global warming, the acidification of the oceans, and the alteration of its chemical composition. Only the 0.5% of the entire ocean is protected. It is crucial to raise awareness worldwide because the ocean is a source of rejuvenation. It's a source of discovery and much more. It is a heritage for a lot of different cultures. We have to protect the ocean. Humans have to learn to live on a way that we can support the ocean because the ocean sustains life. There's hope because we know how nature can reclaim its territory, but there's only hope if we give it a chance by minimizing our human pressure. Every human being has to take responsibility for caring for the ocean. I didn't want to finish this talk without expressing my gratitude to all the STEM Women Congress and Triton team for making it possible for me to be here today. I am also proud to have been the first female engineer hired in Triton's Barcelona's office, I encourage all women to venture into this unknown world because there's still much to discover, there's still much to investigate, and until we understand the ocean, it's challenging to expect that we can protect it effectively. I would like to conclude this talk with a quote that I really like that says that every breath that we take comes from the ocean. Humans only protect what we love, and we only love what we know. So, protect the ocean and you will be protecting yourself. Thank you so much.
Muito obrigada, Marta. Foi gosto.
Thank you very much, Marta. It's been a pleasure to have you here. It's been a privilege for us to listen to such diverse talks, since they give us new female references of the STEM. Now we will move on to a discussion table. We will have a round table where we will try and discuss on how to solve this minor presence of women in the STEM sectors. I would like to ask our guests to join us. I will start talking the only man here, Victor Moore, the country manager of Schneider Electric. Isabela Moura Ramos. She is the CEO of the ports of Lisbon and Setúbal. Carolina Cort, head of regions of business units. Sonia Rodrigues, the account management of PAMAF from Rico Company. Mariana Tavernari, who is research and strategy at Globant and STEM ambassador in Portugal. And finally, Sylvia Bachmann, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz.io in Portugal. Thank you very much. We're here faced with many challenges that make us all accountable and call us to be agents of change. There will be a long way to go, no doubt, but I will launch a first question to all of you. How are we in terms of equity, especially at the level of STEM equality? So, in my capacity as a representative of Globant, a tech company, we are Latin American by origin, but we are now placed all over the world, more or less 20 countries. And as for the female participation, we have 27% of women in our company. Some of them in technology positions and others human resources and staff issues. But there is a very important data that is increasing, a trend that is increasing. Globant's goal is to increase today's 30% of women managers to 30%. And this is a 2-year horizon, and we will try to do so. And we would like to work throughout the whole of the pipeline. We have to work throughout the journey of every girl until they reach management and leadership positions. Because we have a 5 pillar path which conducted to the insertion of women in technology careers in the company. And this includes inspiration, working for these females to get inspired in working in technology, as far as to educate and becoming leaders. We have a program under the name Women at, sorry, I couldn't understand. And we have a considerable number of women enrolled for this program. And it is an honor when they are called to join us. And we are also promoting the same trend in our suppliers chain. Yes, it takes 2 years to reach this goal, but if we multiply this and think how many women did we have 10 years ago when we were 4,000 employees plus Latin America, and now that we are 40 countries, let us multiply this by 10 and see the amount of employees, and also to increase from 30 to 50% the women participation. And so what we have to do is to multiply this at least 10 times in order to have a bigger participation of women in the several pillars. Yesterday, when I started to look at the data and when started to look at the amount of actions the company is being working around, starting with very minor participation such as a boot camp, with a sales force, or even with Oracle, focus in working with women only, until the participation of other programs, which is at the design level. And when you start to see the smallest type of participations we are making until we reach this award, then you see that we are building an ecosystem of initiatives. And when we gather them all together, we see the size that they represent. And so it is a pleasure to work with this union. Well, Mariana, I hope that in 2 years' time we will be talking about how you reach the goal of 50% women in your company by 2025. Now let me give the floor to Victor and ask him, how are we in terms of equity in the company you work, Schneider Electric? Thank you. First of all, I'm sorry, my Portuguese is not so good. I'm Victor Moore, and I live in Portugal for quite a few years now. Thank you for having invited me. This is not only a challenge for men, but it is also a challenge for men at any country, any religion. So thank you for that. At Schneider, notice that Schneider is not Schindler. We are a digital partners offering energy transition solutions in order to become more sustainable. In Portugal, we have 31% of women working in our company. And so in terms of the STEM focus, we have 38, whilst in our management board, we have a parity in terms of men and women, but in the Iberian Peninsula we have 50% men and 50% women. This is very important because, and I believe we'll delve upon this later, this is mandatory. It is mandatory for women to develop in the same manner so that they can reach the executive positions. Innovation implies competitiveness, and with the in 95% of families of enterprises in Portugal are SMEs, so innovation will be very important. It is important that at the executive level we should have also this parity, 50% men and 50% women, and this is where equity is failing? Are you referring to this leadership position? This is where things fail. Well, when I visit customers and companies, I realize that executive positions in Portugal, only 6% at these positions are women, and the remaining 94% positions are held by men. And I believe that big companies like ours can help others move ahead. And we realize that we are more competitive and we have more capacity to attract not only persons but also talent. Because if you don't cater for talent, then they will leave, and they will leave to the benefit of the competitors, even in other countries. So in Portugal, we still have a lot to go. Now, Isabel Moura Ramos is part of the executive bodies in the Port of Lisbon and Porto. What is the amount? What is the percentage? Well, in general terms, I'll say we have 30% female and 70% men. This is 404 workers in Porto, and we have 233 persons working in Lisbon, and we see that we have more men in operation positions. I was very pleased to study this topic, and I concluded joyfully that we are getting close to 50% in terms of women engineers, because engineering is an area where we see a balance being stricken. And with all the challenges ports are now faced with, and which can be common to other sectors, but in terms of their the multitude of areas they have, they can attract everything and all types of engineering. And with the challenges of decarbonization and energy digital transition, I have no doubts that this is an open door and a major opportunity for us to build new paths for women, engineering women. So are you optimistic? Oh yes, I am an optimistic per nature. And as long as I'm on top in a leadership position, then count on me, because I will drag every woman possible. If it is not up to us in leadership position to prove that there is equality, because the only thing is that we are different, but together we can do more. The areas where I think disparity is still big are at the operational level, and even the technological. We see that 70% are men in IT and 30% are women. When we look at technological background, because ports do not only have engineering, we also have other areas from a technological background. So, and here we see 94% of men and very few women. And this is also an historical trend, because maritime and port history has always been performed by a man, because this required heavy work. But fortunately, the world is changing. There is a lot to be done on shore in order to tackle the ocean challenges, and this is done at the port level. So we are the hub to attract new generations of women in the field of IT, engineering, and others we will be talking about next.
How are we doing in terms of equity in your company? You work for Siemens.
Yes. I work for Siemens Mobility, which is a big international company headquartered in Germany, like very much engineering. And the solutions that we are doing is mainly public transport. And why I'm mentioning it, because if you look at the users of public transport, and these are what the studies are clearly demonstrating, if there is only one car in the family, it's normally used by male. So that's why in a public transport, you see more females. So I'm producing a kind of solutions that are mainly used for females. That's public transport. But if you look internally, and not even at my company, but the whole industry, we are at around 20%. Depending what kind of country I am evaluating, I'm responsible for Southwest Europe, so we have 2,500 employees here. Yeah, Spain, Portugal, we are just like around 23%. And is it satisfying? Absolutely not. Because basically what I am seeing that I am in a male-dominated industry, develop solution mainly for females. And this is really leading to a lot of gender bias, like also in the product design, in the evaluating of data. I very much like this example with the bird singing, because basically, yeah, that's true. If you have like so many male decision makers, then you tend to make decisions that are perhaps not for the entire population. The problem that I am seeing is not even the percentage. That's something that we are always saying, like it's 23, 20, you're a little bit higher and so on, like just like, I want to see more female at the decision table. Not only within the organization, you can, to be honest, you can engineer the numbers easily to increase diversity in your organization. Like having female workers in corporate communication, in all the support functions. But at the end of the day, for me, what is really decisive, and that's why I started one movement called Female Voice, because I don't want only have females within the organization. I want to have a female voice at the decision table, making a financial decision, making a decision about the design of the product, bringing this perspective. And that's right now something that we are currently very strongly working on. And I think that it's very similar how you're working. So we are, encouraging young girls to look into STEM career. This is one thing. Then secondly, we are addressing all students in order to demonstrate that mobility as an industry is an attractive industry. We are all saying like, people are searching for purpose. I mean, like, come on, providing public transport, especially if you are like stuck in traffic because it's raining in Lisboa, you know how important is public transport. So encouraging students to look into mobility industry. And the third one is encouraging women that we already have within the organization to raise their hand and really be willing to take over leadership position, because that's also something that perhaps in the past, like due to structural problems and due to lack of role models, was also not happening. So that's why we are just like strongly having like the commitment that you here said, like, okay, as long as I'm in this position, I will be sending the elevator down. That's exactly what I am having. And I am, for example, I am strongly hiring in Portugal, and my team is right now 100 people. It will increase by 40%. And I am here to make sure that I have more diverse pipeline, because this is right now my problem. I would like to have more diverse team, but I definitely need to attract more female applicants.
Sónia, como é que estamos em termos de...
Sonia, in terms of equity in PAMAF, PAMAF belongs to the RICO group, and we have solutions for the technological area. My world is masculine world, but it's directed by a woman, and we have lots of women in key positions. I work in a company that has gone a long way in that trend, and that is aiming at the SDGs, and we are 15% of women in Portugal, we want to double these figures in 1 year. Yeah, in 1 year we want to double these figures. It's ambitious, but I believe that it's quite simple if we understand what is a problem we have to tackle. RICO is on this path, and the deficit is on the other side. We don't have applications from women when we put publication and advert on LinkedIn or other platforms, because probably women lack confidence. They feel insecure to join this world. So the work needs to be done not within the company, but at school or at home. And we have a privilege of having all the colleagues from RICO Portugal in here. So the company has allowed them to take the day off to participate here. We have colleagues from Oporto, and it was not easy, certainly, for them to be here. So I think I'm a lucky one, but we need to fight all factors that put women off and do not encourage them to do their application. And congratulations to RICO, because RICO has allowed all female employees to come to this Congress. And Sylvia from Mercedes, how is equity in Mercedes? We try to work all digital solutions in terms of sales and after sales. Digital solutions, it's tech company, and in general we have 30% women. It's not that bad. We spoke about Eurostat and the data, 20.4 for ECT, so we are above that average. But we talk a lot about data, and this is important. I've done some work, and the technology should be turned to engineering, back-end developer, front-end developer. And what I would like to talk about is that a year ago I started internally and externally to work on this topic. So we have increased 5%. So this year we had 20% increase. To balance, it's already a challenge, but this increase of 5% from 15% to 20% is already a source of praise. So we have developed awareness, talking about stereotypes and bias, and today I'm very proud to say that we are in pioneers, our employees, and they work to work our public more diversified. In terms of designers, it's a very balanced sector, 50% men, 50% women. When we look at that area of speed, we need to look at all the areas within the company to manage the diversity, and this is a joint work with the company, all the other bodies, and we need to all become active. I am a technology and computing manager, and with this base and show girls, showing them how it is so exciting to work with problems, and it's our duty to change this scenario. That's where it starts. That's where we need to make things change, to generate motivation. And it's a problem that you have all underlined. And I'm going back to Mariana. You can take this mic. What can we do to captivate women, to attract women to these STEM areas? As I said before, Glenmouth works with these different pillars throughout woman life. Our internal initiatives, we try to encourage women who work in the company, we encourage them to give mini classes and that they take leadership for small groups, a woman that called. That's one of the groups we have. And as we see, these are mothers. And when we see that these women start to participate in these groups and they can encourage women to programming from an early age to think with a different mindset, with a paradigm with that is less gendered. I'm going to do social sciences or journalism. I started with journalism and then I moved on to a STEM career. And when I told my mother that I was going to be a journalist and not a doctor, our home came down. And my brother and my father are engineers, and I think this comes from the family. The company is also a good trigger. They can incentivize things to become different. So I've participated within our company. In my pipeline, I can encourage women to come and be part of the team, and if I can recruit more women, I do it actively. I'm not going to say that I don't suffer. Internally, I suffer a lot. I should say no, but internally, it's not easy to say, no, I'm going to a meeting with the board of the company because I'm a woman. It's not easy to support this position in a leadership meeting because you are a woman. It's you need to be tough, and when we put ourselves in that tough position, only extraordinary things can happen. It's not easy. It's probably part of my journey because I'm Brazilian, I'm a woman in a European country, Spain and now Portugal, and it's not the same to be in your homeland and talk to women in your homeland. We have topics in terms of diversity. Going back to what concerns us here, we have different initiatives, but recruitment is important. The participation in events, both for girls as for women in leadership positions. And that's why you are a STEM ambassador. Let's pass it on to Vitor. So he's going to share his views on how to attract women. There's a problem of recruitment because you don't have enough women in the market. What can we do to change this in the medium long term?
Well, in the field of engineering, I was making some calculations and concluded that within a few years' time we should have 50 to 60,000 more women working in the field of digital transformation in the future. So we have to attract as much talent as possible because now we see there is scarcity of persons in terms of talent. So what are we doing? There is a part that we tackle on children, and we have initiatives that are led at the global level. Suzanne is helping us a lot in disseminating this because children should know more. And why? So what is the purpose of this? Because we don't have to talk about bits and gigas, but we have to talk to them about what to do. We have to give them a sense of purpose, because they don't know what engineering is all about, or they may feel the need of helping someone, and we want to help them understand why engineering can help, why technology can help, in order, because we have technology in hospitals, we have technologies helping the elderly, and how can we help persons with reduced mobility use technology in order to improve their lifestyles. All of this will allow children to know why should they study engineering or not, and then to eliminate stereotypes. I do not come from an engineering background. Actually, I wanted to work at the tourism field, but I ended up making business management. And so companies, in my opinion, should give this opportunity, and especially the opportunity of learning, because you don't have to be the best engineer in order to work in this sector or other sector. You have trainings that will allow you to learn more about sustainability, or even to know about price policy. So women who may not be sure on what sector to work, they can, of course, learn and be trained on whatever they want to become. When you talk about this community, we see that there are some moments in time where the balance between family and professional life becomes important. And so we have a policy of work balance of becoming very much comfortable in harmonizing both personal and family lives. Otherwise, they will not perform. So their performance will depend on their happiness with the work, that they want also to reconcile their profession with family lives. And if it is hard to understand this rationale from the gender perspective, then give them the competition point of view, and then you will see that this will entail happiness and balance. Balance is the key. No doubt, but personally, we should develop persons in their difference, because the way of empowering one woman may be different from empowering another woman. So we have to support the person in order for the person to give this leap forward. For instance, I'm nervous for being here because I'm the only man, but we have to cut all of these beliefs, and we have to do it according to the development that we will allow. Isabel, you have good ideas on how to encourage young women to choose these most critical areas in which are more and more necessary. Well, I may be the only person to work at the state enterprise level, so I come from the public sector, and this is what is a challenge for the private sector, maybe 3 times more a challenge in the public sphere, because our resources are minor. We try to be creative, in order to attract more women. Fortunately, we are about to recruit more persons, and I would like to say that in the forthcoming year we will be recruiting new talents, and this is an advertising I'm making right now. And the main reason being that our structure is aged because ports employees are around 50 years. This is the average age. And I know that we have problems in attracting new talents as well, for many reasons. But what's important now is looking at the future. And we have to grab this moment in times where we have to make these areas of working more juvenile. We have to be more specific, but we have first to pave our way. We have adhered to UN Global Compact in order to align with the Sustainable Development Goals, both in Porto and Setúbal. We are living moments of capacity building in order to launch this program in all areas. Then we have another basic principle, and notice that I am in the first year of my 3-year mandate, and the purpose is to create jobs with balanced teams and never following the line of thought that only that the directors have to be women. No, we want to have women in all projects. And in one of the projects in which we are working a lot is in the field of innovation. Innovation is a major opportunity. Next November, we will be launching our first innovation program, and this is an open program, open innovation, which aims at challenging all business area in the Lisbon port, and we will then replicate this to Setúbal. We will start in Lisbon anyway. We will be calling the stakeholders such as university research centers, the academia, all partners, all business partners, and even tech companies, so that can think of problems that are constantly faced by ourselves, and probably where a simple solution will be able to implement pilot programs. But why so? Because this is the principle on which we want to be based in order to contract a talent. We have to discuss and to open the port to society, and this may also be a reason to attract new talents in female engineering, mathematicians, and so on. Thirdly, the pathway that ports have been paved in Europe, they have set an example. And Lisbon, which is the port in our capital, should open more to society, because it is very much closed on itself. And when you go to a port such as Hamburg and Rotterdam, you see this mood of passion, because this is their port. In Lisbon, things are the other way around. Cities were born because they have a port, and we should seize this mood, this passion, and convey it to the next generations. To understand, why do I have those cranes in Alcântara? What do they do? How they can benefit my country? Because this brings about economy, and not only cafe terraces and tourism. I guarantee to you that if you look at the figures, you will see that if the Port of Lisbon comes to close its door in the future, then Lisbon may also close its doors to the world. We also receive a lot of visits from schools, universities, and many other partnerships, but we have to do more, especially initiatives with our cultural partners. We are also celebrating and we are calling for initiatives that will attract schools, the citizens, and it has been worthy. We see that when we open positions, we see many people coming to Setúbal, and now we are trying to invite more and more people from different backgrounds to visit the port. Now, coming back to schools, schools should play the role of, for instance, talk about ports. Why don't schools include in their programs a visit to the ports? Because the ports are included in the school books without any type of priority.
E contributos importantes.
We still have a few contributions to be made, so I'll ask you, how can we get more girls interested in STEM?
A very poor job in advertising technology, as if there was technology for the sake of technology, engineering for the sake of engineering, and the same with digitalization for the sake of digitalization. And we disconnected it with purpose, and that's something that you were just mentioning, and I think that we need to bring it together. We need to explain what is the purpose behind technology, behind data, behind science, and what is the outcome if we don't have the diverse teams, that we, for example, don't know that the female birds are singing, right? And I think that that's something that we need to do a better advertising for the technology that we are in. I just I see it so strongly. I mean, I work in a big engineering company with, whenever there is a new metro line, the real estate prices are increasing and so on. It has a massive impact on employment, unemployment. But if I am telling at the dinner table, I work in a mobility industry, nobody really cares. My boyfriend works in advertising. Advertising. We pay not to see his products. We pay not to see his products. Everybody's interested. Oh, tell me more. So which ad, oh wow, who did the ad? And I think that how odd it is, right? That we so disconnected with purpose. And that's something I had, before I took over my role, I had the role of Chief Digitalization Officer, and I just I found it so sad, as if you digitizing, whatever is analog, you just touch it to make it digital, so disconnected from purpose, right? Just to make sure, that we better explain the benefits. This is what I think that it's crucial. One of the anecdotes that I tell a lot, it is connected with my industry, because my industry is so male-dominated, also the entire data analytics about the demand of the passenger flow was also done by very male-dominated teams. And there was a gender bias, and that has been already now scientifically proven that the metro lines are more reflecting the demands of the men than the female. And it was not done as a discrimination, not at all. The male traveling pattern is stronger because males normally travel from A to B, from home to work, from work to home. And this is a strong pattern that you can easily see in your data. And you see there is a demand, let's build a new line. How women are traveling. They are going back to school, pick up the kids, going to a soccer, going to the supermarket. This is much weaker trend, in the data,
that you might not recognize that there is a demand for a new metro line whatsoever, or new station, new bus. But you will not see that in the data if you don't analyze it properly. And I think that there must be something in us that, like, first connecting with purpose, and secondly saying, like, wow, do I want to allow others to design the world for my kids that has this bias? Do I want to allow that? It's my responsibility to right now be at the decision table and say, like, no, wait a moment, let's reflect the entire society. We are not speaking about, like, the tiny, tiny minority. We are speaking, for fuck's sake, sorry for my French, about half of the population. And that's something that I think that, like, sometimes, like, I am at this type of panel and there is, like, this typical question. So what is the benefit of having a female? It's like, what is the benefit of having a male? Like, now I need to prove that I should be at the table. I mean, like, come on. It is so odd, and I think that, like, that's something that we definitely need to challenge, because this bias, like, still exists. And still, who of you is not in STEM? Yeah, okay. Me neither. Me neither. I studied psychology and I wanted to be a couple therapist. That was always my idea. I saw these American movies and I saw that they are well paid. And I didn't know anything. My both parents are teachers and my mom is children's psychologist. I didn't know many other jobs that exist. When I was applying for a job and someone asked me, like, so in the company, which departments would you be interested in? And I said, like, but I don't know, show me your departments. I don't know even, I even didn't know how the company is structured internally. I really didn't know. And I think that, yeah, that's no wonder if, like, people, like, from families, like, with my background that I am having, they are at the end of the day, like, landing in careers that are far away from industry. I mean, like, I was lucky. I started working in a big engineering company in human resources. I mean, like, that's where psychologists are starting, right? And after 6 months, like, someone said, like, you know what? You know how to connect the dots. You are just a good structure. And someone like, why don't you move to product management? And I think that that's something that we should also encourage. Not say, oh, you didn't study it, bad luck for you. Yeah, exactly, just like, okay, gone. No, to be honest, if you have a growth mindset, if you are able to structure your work, look at all the big consulting companies, BCG, McKinsey, and so on. They are hiring not only STEM, they are hiring all possible studies, because they know if you know how to structure your work, if you know how to work the data, if you know how to analyze the stakeholders, you will be able to survive in any industry. And I know I've been working in BCG and I had, like, people that were studying music and theology and so on, like, which you wouldn't expect in management consulting. So that's why, even if you didn't study that, like, don't think that, like, okay, the opportunity is gone forever. It's not. You really still deserve that place at the decision table.
Precious insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
E agora vou apelar ao poder de síntese, quer...
And I'm going to appeal to your synthesis capacity. I'd like you to give us some ideas on how to tackle this problem. I'm going to take two assumptions, one within the company and then outside. Within the company RICO, we have initiatives that have to do with the children and the daughters of our employees. Girls feel attracted to these areas when they solve problems, not for the sake of it. And what we do, we launch these problems to girls and we ask them, give me a problem you would like to solve related to a friend, related to something else in your street, and it shows in their responses that they are attracted to this area, and it's the employees of the companies that accompany this process with the girls. And then we had a study or a comment I heard the other day, and it's quite interesting in terms of thinking outside the box. I don't know if you saw the Big Bang Theory, it's a series, and two women in the series are very funny scientists, very successful. And this series helped to have girls and boys applying for these areas. So we can use these dynamics in this other area. Our company, the objective of which was not this one, but we engaged in this initiative. My background is communication sciences, but when I came to work in this area, I was not intimidated. I would not cater for all the requirements of the application, but I was motivated by people who knew my capacities, as for my colleague here, and then this may show us that if at home, and in my case this happened because my older brother was playing with computers, I wanted to play with him, so I had to play computers, and I had to play with marbles and play with little cars. So it was my only chance. So I was in touch with realities that were not properly female areas, and my parents did not prevent me from following these activities. So my parents never said you should play with dolls. On the contrary, I would play with my brother on these areas. So when I was faced with a technological area, I was feeling at ease within that environment. And the companies like Riku, they give us some training so we can be capable of working with them, but sometimes we have supporting teams. I can have and be supported by sales teams and by advisory teams, and if I have to have a meeting with a particular customer, I'll be supported by other teams. So do not hesitate. You can apply for the area in which I work. Even if you don't fulfill all the criteria on the list, please do not fear. As I said before, it's a matter of responsibility among women and men. We are in a period of transformation. There is no pathway without diversity, and we need to manage all these processes. We have scenarios where we have more women than men. And with all the challenges we are facing, we really need to take up responsibility. I have two roles, Sylvia at Mercedes-Benz, and Sylvia, who is also a sponsor and who comes to this kind of event and who shows awareness of these issues. Talking about internal issues in the company, we have integrated a program for training on unconscious bias. People say I don't have any bias, but when we work seriously with unconscious bias, I don't know if there is anyone in this room who has a very clear and clean mind, because taking this seriously, and I work with recruitment, I went to a course in ECA, and I learned interesting things. Our postings, our adverts, we use particular terminology, and some wording just block attractiveness to women. So we have some words that attract more female public, others attract more male public. So in terms of gender bias, we need to work the curricula as a best fit and skills. I could talk half an hour in training measures. When we have vacancies for leadership, we need to generate a wider number at the basis, so we have then candidates. And we want to influence this positively. And when we get there, it's not because you are a woman, but it's because we are equally competent. So we need to generate this diversity in form of training. And then in the market, we have the return sheet. We know that some women take a larger leave, a larger break because of maternity leaves. So we give them opportunity to have an internship, and we have a program with School 42 for professionals in architecture, music, and if they want to come in to learn about the software, I've picked on these people who have some soft skills, a high level of soft skills. So I created an academy for these girls, and they surprised us, and they have done this internship, and they are with us today. And if we only take into account the talents of university, that's not enough. We need to look at these other measures, and then in the market we try to explore in society disadvantaged populations and try to emphasize this area, showing these people how this is attractive. And we have an open day for girls in school so they can be aware what is included in digital transformation. We have a long list, but this is the highlights. Thank you. It's a pleasure, and thank you for the ideas you shared with us, and hope to see you in the next opportunity.
Agora que estamos a chegar mesmo ao
We are really reaching the end of the SW Lisbon. I'm going to call on stage the President of the Commission for Citizenship and Gender Equality, representing the Secretary of State for Equality and Migrations, and she will close this conference.
Olá, viva.
Hello, good afternoon. I will address my speech in English.
First of all, on the behalf of our Secretary of State for Equality and Immigrations of the Portuguese government, I want to thank you for the realization of this Congress of Women on STEM. And the opportunity to give us, to the state, to the government, to give the opportunity to reflect with you on the path that we should forward in this field. The global economy is now a digital economy. Technology allows companies to source their talents, goods and services from anywhere in the world. Technology also allows business of all sizes to achieve global scale much faster than they used to, and this is something that is sure not going to change. The young generation is the digital generation. That means that they have a limitless appetite for technology. And this is true for boys, and it's true for girls. So why don't have more girls studying STEM? Apparently, the lack of female role models may be the main handicap for not having more girls in technology, but also the lack of perception of the potential of the technology in everything we do. And this is something that the previous speakers told about, that it's very, very important that kids, girls and boys, but especially girls, we are focused on to realize the purpose of technology. Technology is everywhere, but sometimes they don't understand that immediately. So this is very important that teachers can pass that information, but for that, the teachers themselves has to be capacited, have to know that, and have to have the ability to pass that message. And sometimes we see that there's a lack. So when you know the problem, it's much easier to find a solution. So what we need to do is to break down the barriers women face every day to assessing and having careers on tech industry. For that, it's mandatory to give more stage to women who already work in STEAM, just like you just did today. We need to celebrate their success, and we need to prepare teachers to explain the potential of technology. But these women must be on the front page. They need to be known. They cannot be on the second line. They must be on the first. So we need to educate and train young girls and women to give them all the opportunities and skills they need to enter in the tech world. And to start, we need to give confidence to young girls by saying to them that they just can do whatever they want, that they are absolutely free to choose whatever they want. They cannot allow anyone to tell them that they simply can't do anything just because they are girls. Girls can do STEAM, yes. Girls can study STEAM, yes they can. Girls can code if they want, of course they can. And girls can be teach leaders, and if they want, and they actually can do whatever they want. And we need to give this push to girls so the frightening goes away. We need to give them all the confidence they need to believe in themselves and especially to allow them to be. And this is even more true and even more urgent in the digital age. Women's inclusion and empowerment in science means bringing in a difference and a complementary point of view that has the potential to produce a highly positive impact on the final output for human progress and can be a way to decrease one of the biggest scourge of our times, gender inequality, mainly gender pay gap. In 2017, the Portuguese government launched a program for young girls called Engenheiras por Dia, or Engineers for a Day, exactly to cultivate female students for STEAM and encourage for more female talents to join the technology industry. This program started as a pilot project, and today it is a huge national program that promotes among non-higher education students the option of engineering and technology, and to destroy the idea that these are male domains. We have today a network of almost 100 partner entities working with us, including municipalities, basic and secondary schools, and higher education institutions. Since its creation, it has reached thousands of girls from primary and secondary education in several activities, including laboratory practices, role model sessions, and the most important of all, mentoring. We are at a moment of transformation in our country. We hope so. At least. And we have the recovery and the resilience plan. And this is a unique opportunity for development and active combat against the structural inequalities, especially the ones that are connection with gender equality. And this is have a full commitment with our national strategy for Portugal More Equal, as we call them. And in this framework, there is a big investment in the participation of young people in higher education. And one of these examples, it's the program, Young Impulse program, actually. And this was created to promote and support initiatives exclusively oriented to increase the graduation of young people in our country, especially in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and to try to respond to the new market needs. And of course, this is very important. If this problem, this youth impulse, if we have the ability to make this program with with a pendor on gender equality as well, and it could be very important, and we can have a lot of concrete measures to mitigate the inequalities that we have by encourage young girls, much more female students in these STEAM areas. So this is our strategy, the public policy in this moment in this strategy. It's to prevent and combat the segregation of professions based on sex, which is very common in our labor market and is a very bad business for economy of our country. And so to promote or to help the end of this big problem, promoting more girls on engineering and technology will be a very important tool. Hope that we can do this. Hope that we can bring with us more universities working in this field like the one we are today. Let us have more CEOs women that are working in technology, and they play such an important role model to appear more and give more information and work more with us, creating these models for young girls, which is absolutely fundamental. So our present is already the future and is marked already by the science and technology progress. We can't miss more women and girls. We need more women and girls turning creators, owners, and leaders of science, technology, digital, and everything, and innovation, as we already heard earlier before. And we need this very, very much, because don't do that is just not being smart at all. Thank you so much for your attention.
Resta-me agradecer a todos os que estão.
I would like to thank you all who have been here in this SWC Lisbon. We hope this has been the first of many future congresses in Portugal. The next one will be on the 23rd of November in Barcelona. You can now enroll yourselves through the QR code in the STEM website. And now let me ask all participants to please come on stage so we can have a final picture, a family picture. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.